Hello, my name is Steve Dubin, and I am your host of South Shore Senior News' podcast, My Generation. South Shore Senior News is a monthly publication that also reaches people digitally through their e-newsletter and their online content. The intent is to bring together the community of seniors, their service providers, and the sandwich generation who help them out. On a regular basis, we have podcast guests who provide value to the senior community. And today we have Jay Tolman from Home Instead. And Jay has been in the non medical home care sector of delivering services for approximately 5.5 years, has been in senior services for over 20 years, and works in the community with a Labor Day telethon fundraiser for muscular dystrophy in Hingham. And that event is about to celebrate its 48th anniversary in 2024. Welcome to our podcast, Jay.
Thanks, Steve. Glad to be here.
Well, it's good to have you.
Yeah.
So let's start with what we often call the log cabin story, which
hmm
is what brought you to what you're doing now.
Right. Well, I started out my career in the software industry, electronic medical software for home health, which is more the skilled side. And I was traveling a lot. I was in the air a lot. And I decided, I'd like to sort of stay in the healthcare business and, really saw the benefit of working with seniors and the care that's needed out there. So I decided to look around at different options and, worked in a memory care community for about a year. Really was a really gratifying experience. And then Todd Anderson, who's the owner of our Home Instead franchise, had reached out, and I had reached out to him. And so this has been a perfect match and a wonderful 5.5 years.
Okay. Well, great. And so tell me, in particular, what are some of the kinds of services and populations that you serve?
Right, right. Well, it mainly seniors. We do have some other clients that would maybe be considered not seniors. We take care of a lot of dementia clients, and some of those folks are, anywhere from 58 years old on up. We do provide services that really enhance the aging experience and common sense activities of daily living that we help support, with showering, compassionate care, medication reminders, light housekeeping, transportation, going to a doctor's appointment, or just getting out, going to the beach, or going to Nona's for ice cream. Things that are going to enhance our clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
And aging in place, it's its own movement now of formalizing the concept that people would rather live in their own home, even as they have some occasional challenges with
Right.
the activities of daily living. Um, Geographically, where do you cover in terms of that description of people?
Yeah. Well, we are Home Instead as a franchise. There are about over 650 franchises nationally, about 450 internationally. We cover it, which works out great for us. We cover 13 towns in the South Shore, and we draw our caregivers from that territory. We have a few outliers, but most of our caregivers come, from our territory, which really helps in the transportation and making sure that they can get there because they don't have to travel long distances. So that's the territory that we do cover.
Okay, and I understand that one of the challenges of the industry um, is less finding people who need the service, but providing those who can to actually directly deliver the service and help them in their homes.
Right.
Is that the case?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's always been difficult. I think that, ever since COVID, it's become even more challenging. We have been lucky in that we have currently close to 90 caregivers. We call them care professionals that service our clients. And so we've been very lucky, but we have close to 90, but we could use 20 more just because of the demand. We're fortunate too that there are home insteads nearby, one in Pembroke, one in Norwood, that if we run into, a jam, we need somebody right away, critical situation, we can, reach out to them and, use some of their caregivers because we know they've been trained the same way that our caregivers are.
And can you tell me a little bit about the training of those folks?
Sure, sure. Well, as far as actually, the process of coming on board as a caregiver, and we're always looking, is an initial interview, to see if they might be a fit. Then we do a background check that looks nationally. We sort of follow their social security number. So it can go back to the 80s if there's anything going on there, as well as a Corey check and drug test. Those are just standard, pretty much throughout the industry. But, we're very careful about, we're looking for people with empathy and compassion. And I think, most agencies are doing the same, which makes it difficult. People, they're looking for a paycheck, which is understandable. We all do. But I think that, there are people that are, want to give back. I mean, we have people who are, certified CNAs, HHAs, home health aides, but we also have retired nurses, retired LPNs. We have family people who've taken care of family that are, want to give back. And those are the kinds of people that we really look for and bring on, because we want to build a relationship with our clients, with the care professionals.
Okay. And just to be clear, you don't provide nursing services or medical services. What are some of the services that you do provide so people can have some specifics?
Yeah. So, we take care of anything from companionship, which can be very critical, especially we learned a lot, during COVID, how isolation is so detrimental to everybody, but especially, older people. But, so everything from companionship to personal care, help in the shower. I think, one of the things that is really prevalent with folks that may need help in the home is the potential of a fall. A fall can change everything. So just keeping people safe, medication reminders, so that it may be that their memory is such that they need to be reminded to take their medications, make sure they're hydrating, having meals. Part of the thing that Homestead actually corporate has been doing, and we collect data, is rehospitalization. So, we're tracking, who we may get, being discharged from the hospital, and how our services are helping to keep them from going back to the hospital. And there's, and until you have data to show that, Washington is a little slow in, helping to fund, these kinds of services, because they're all private pay. We do participate in a lot of agencies participate with the Veterans Association, as well as long-term care insurance. But things that are going to meal prep, shopping. I mentioned before, getting out of the house, just go for a ride.
Okay. And I would assume in terms of service hours,
Yep.
It ranges from literally around the clock to very limited. How few hours can you provide someone and still have a relationship?
Yeah. I think we recommend a minimum of 4 hours as far as a shift, and 12 hours weekly as far as a minimum, because part of this also, well, there are a combination of a couple of things. One is scheduling is very difficult. Scheduling is a whole nother animal, and probably one of the most difficult pieces of this business. But I think that it's important to look at the relationship that you're building with the client. And if you're doing just an hour or 2 hours once a week, that's not going to happen. So those are the recommendations we have for minimum. So anywhere from 4 hours to 24 hours.
Okay. And how do you even suggest to families that they vet a service like yours? What are the kinds of questions and considerations they should have?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually put together, because I found that early on that people were calling, and I think it's difficult because if somebody's in the hospital and they're going to be discharged and they need services at home, and they're told they need 12 hours, 24 hours, whatever it may be, they're given a list of home care agencies, and they don't necessarily know the questions to ask. So I put together a document early on when I started here that I called 10 considerations, some of the questions that you should ask agencies, because most of the agencies were very lucky on the South Shore. There's some great home care agencies, but there are little differences here and there that I think families should question.
And could you give us an example of that?
Sure. I think you know consistency. I think first of all, how quickly does the agency respond? If you leave a message or with somebody, who calls you back, or if you get an answer machine. We actually have phone coverage 24/7. Throughout the night too. So, you don't get answer machines unless there's a meeting or something like that. You may get it, but you get a quick response. So I think, response time is really important initially. I think it's like any service. Response, if you call a car dealership and somebody doesn't get back to you, you might think, no, I don't know if I want to buy a car there. They're pretty quick at getting back to you, though.
Okay.
So, I think responsiveness, reliability, um, do the agencies miss shifts? I've talked to a number of people who said, well, we were using somebody, but they just didn't show up, and they didn't call us. Not typical, but it does happen. So that's really important, especially if there's an absolute need for somebody to be there. So consistency is really important, and then and the reliability also, and consistency for us is, what we like to do is have the same caregiver be consistent. So if we're in there 3 days a week, we like to have the same caregiver. They build a relationship. We also do a consultation. I go out and meet the families, meet the clients, and get a feel for who they are, what their needs are, their personality, and then come back and work with scheduling to figure out who would be a good fit for this client. So once we find that, then we look at consistency for for that client, and so it's not a different caregiver every single time.
Okay. And that leads me to my question about, I know that sometimes it's hard to satisfy the end client. They didn't necessarily want somebody to come into their home and
Right.
help them out.
Yeah.
That it was their concerned kids or others.
Yeah,
who really saw the need and the requirement. What do
right.
you do if there's not chemistry between the caregiver and the client?
Right. No, that's a great question, and it does happen. I think, the consultation is helpful to be able to work on bringing in the right care professional for them. But I also stress during that consultation, whether it be just family or with the client, the communication is critical. So if they're not getting along, it's oil and water. I really didn't, pick the right person. We want to know about it, and we'd make some changes to that until, I mean, they're paying for the service. They deserve to have somebody that they get along with.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, thank you. And then I understand that you have launched a senior day program. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. We just recently opened it. We're in an old Victorian house that has been converted, and the home instead is up on the second and third floor. The first floor became available, and we thought there's a real need. There's sort of a missing link between, like, for dementia clients, for folks with dementia, memory care, home memory care. Is there something else in between that can, I think, help give respite to a family member who might be caring for that person at home? So, we decided to convert that space into a senior day program, which people can come to, and it's really for people with dementia. I'd say about 65% of our clients, have some form of dementia, and so this is a place that they can come. A lot of people that I talk with, the family member is, with dementia, sitting at home watching TV all day. This is somewhere they can come. It's very, very homey. We've got a fireplace and lots of activities, a living room, quiet areas, and lots of activities that will help stimulate the senior, so they're not just sitting at home. They're really involved, and also it gives respite for the family and comfort knowing that they're safe, because a lot of people, they may leave a loved one at home with dementia, and they're going to be worried the whole time they're out that, what's happening, and is something going wrong this way. They can have the comfort of that, and also just the social aspect of it. People with dementia, and having a number of people here that are, in the same boat. And we have some people downstairs today, that came in. They've been here for a couple of days, and they gave each other a big hug. So there's a whole social aspect of it as well.
Great. And you referred to your Victorian home, but you didn't mention what town you're in.
Oh yeah, we're in Norwell.
Okay.
We're right on Route 53 in Norwell, and so we're right on the main drag there. And it's great. We have half days available and full days, so 8:30 to 5:30, or 8:30 to 12:30, 1 to 5 as different options.
Okay. And we may have covered this really in the last segment, but what are the main challenges for the family caregiver, and why they come to you?
Yeah. I think, one of the things that I talk about with families, and it's really sort of accepting, and you sort of touched on it a little bit before, um, accepting the fact that help is needed at home. So I think that, working with the family members, I think that what happens a lot, a spouse or a family member may feel guilty that they can't do it all. or maybe there are two elderly people in their early 90s, and the wife is having some issues, and the husband's trying to do it all. And I'll talk to the family members and the husband and say, if you go down, all bets are off. So I think that, that's I think the biggest challenge is sort of not pushing people, but really showing the benefit. And what I find is, there's no long-term commitment in home care. So, try it out. Most people, I find that, after we're in there with a client for, a few shifts, that a relationship is built and they really look forward to that care professional coming and really enjoy the company, and, shifts the whole idea. So I think there's a lot of education that needs to go on constantly. And, just conversation around what the needs might be.
Okay. Well, thank you. You've provided useful information. I appreciate you being on. What's the best way for someone to reach you if they like to talk about, the possibility of working with you?
Sure. Well, our website is home instead / excuse me, I'll try that again. Homeinstead /.com. And then our phone number is 781-878-2994.
Right.
And
Well, thank you so much for
yeah.
spending time with us and sharing information.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, and I look forward to crossing paths with you in the future.